G'day, how you doing? Adam here from Poseidon Racing with another video in this series, which is the ultimate beginner's guide to Zed Run. Everything that you need to know going from zero experience, zero horses, building up your stable and winning as many races as soon as possible. We're getting into the good stuff now. I love racing my horses, and in this next 3 or 4 videos, 5 videos in fact it is, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about racing your horse for the first time. But hold your horses right there. We need to talk about, first of all, whether or not we're going to decide to race our horse or leave it unraced. This is a legitimate debate within Zed Run right now. Should we race our horses or should we leave our Genesis horses in particular? This applies to the bred horses, not so much about leaving them unraced, but the Genesis horses, there seems to be a legitimate debate around should we keep them unraced and unbred, brand new in the box, never touched, or should we race them and see if they're any good? Now, keeping them unraced, unbred, essentially untouched, brand new, on a collectible level, may well see those Genesis horses appreciate in value. I mean, much like a collectible antique toy, if it's taken out and played with and has a few scuffs on it and this and that, is not likely to be as valuable as one that is brand new, untouched, in a box, sealed up, never been taken out of that box. Okay, so there is some debate about whether the risk in racing a horse versus the potential reward of leaving it unraced, untouched for the future. Okay, now, if we leave it unraced, untouched for the future, yes, that may well go up in value. And if we race our horse and it happens to be terrible, we could do some serious damage to the value of that horse. On the flip side of that, if we race our horse and it happens to be exceptional, then that horse may well be more valuable than leaving it unraced in the first place. And for me, it comes down to, and nothing on this channel is ever financial advice, not financial advice, but for me, it comes down to whether or not I would be happy to sell my unraced horse and then see it get raced and go on to be one of the best racers in the game sometime in the future. And for me, I'm too much of a gambler, and I just need to know what's in the box. I need to know what's there. Now, it does vary a little bit, because if we have an unraced, unbred Z1, of course, the difference between the Z1s and the Z10s, for example, the Genesis obviously go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the difference between keeping a Z1 unraced or a Z10 unraced is that on average the Z1s are usually pretty good. There's not too many dud ones. There's a few that aren't great, but on average they're pretty good. Okay, but when you get to a Z10, well, you know, most of them aren't very good. About 1 in 30, maybe 1 in 40, maybe even as far as 1 in 100 are really good Z10s. So if you think that leaving a Z10 unraced, unbred, and you think the game has a future into the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you're willing to hang on to an unraced, unbred horse for that long, well, look, maybe that horse goes up significantly in value, because as time goes by, a lot of the other unraced horses are going to be raced. So that particular trait, brand new in the box, could very well be desirable in the future. We don't really know though, do we? And then of course you have the risk, if you race an unraced Z10, that it goes in its first race and it's 40 to 1. You know, the odds are $40, which means it's roughly about likely to win a race 1 in every 40, which is not great. You want those odds to be low, like 1 in 5 or $5 odds. We'll talk about those in a minute. So you really need to weigh that up before we jump in and just start racing willy-nilly. And for me, I'm really excited about that. That was the first thing I did when I bought a horse, is I put it in a race. But we do need to consider that. If your budget only affords 1 horse, do we want to risk racing that horse and risk revealing that it is not very good, it could be very good. That's the upside. It could be very good. A mate of mine, I just got into the game and he bought his first horse, and it's a very good horse. He's making a little bit of money from racing that, and he'll do rather well breeding that when breeding opens back up. So we need to kind of think about that. You need to weigh that up. Do I keep it brand new in the box and preserve the value that is already there? Or can you not help yourself and you just need to race to see what's in the box? See if it is good and you're happy for it to be bad if that happens to be the case. Look, if it is a bad horse, then there's still avenues to get around that. You know, there's certain races you can select to give your horse a better chance, and you could also sell that horse maybe for a slight loss, or maybe it could even be a significant loss. Look, that is the risk there. But you could also sell that horse and maybe try and save up and buy another horse, and then maybe you leave that one unraced, or you just continually race them until you get a good one. These are all the strategies you kind of need to consider, and I can't really tell you which one is right. For me, I love racing horses, but over the 12 months or 18 months that I've been here, I've had the privilege of having maybe up to 100 unraced horses in my stable, and then I can race those ones, keep the good ones, and move on the bad ones. Okay, but as the game is getting harder and harder to get into to a degree, those Genesis are becoming more and more valuable, more and more expensive. The risk factor is going up when you do race it. If you buy that Genesis on open sea, for example, and are paying a premium for that unraced Z9 or 10, or even 1 or 2, or anything in between, and then you race that horse, and it is a particularly bad version of that genotype level, 1, 2, 3 down to 10, then if you want to get away and sell that horse, you may have to take a significant loss to get out of that and then maybe get back in again. Okay, so you need to weigh that up. Do you want to take the risk and see what's in the box, or do you just want to leave it on the shelf for a couple of years and see what happens? That's what we need to weigh up at this stage. Now, in the next few videos, we're going to assume that you do want to race that horse, and I'm going to guide you through how to selectively race that horse to make it look as good as it possibly can be, even if it's not the greatest horse. Okay, because that's our job as stable owners, as trainers, is to make all of our horses look as good as they can possibly be. Make them look even better than what they are if possible, so that we can preserve a high level of value in our horses within our stable. Okay, if you love this content, if you love this video, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content in general of Zed Run and sports-based NFT gaming, then subscribe to the channel. You're going to love it. And of course, check the description of this video for the tongue-tied for the full playlist of the ultimate beginner's guide to Zed Run. And of course, the upcoming videos are how to race your horse and keep it at the highest level possible. Try and increase that value if we can. Thanks again, and bye for now.